Hello, Lenora. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Um, a lot's happened, but I guess I'll let you kind of start our conversation. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I've been thinking about you, and the last time we met, we touched on a lot of different things. There was a new job kind of change for you, not necessarily a new job, but new place.
Mm-hmm.
There was the move involved in that, feeling some financial burden, your son being with other family members, feeling alone, kind of looking for your own support systems closer to you. And then at the very end, which I hate to say, like, I didn't really touch on, but like you had mentioned, like, kind of like sometimes you get a little harsh with Bruce and you don't really want to do that anymore. Um, those were some of the things that I had jotted down while we were talking. And I was just wondering if where you wanted to head today during our session.
I'm not really sure where I want to head today because there is such a great ordeal that has happened since the last time that we met.
Okay.
Bruce is home now. Um, he only had to be with my parents for a month because of the way his age was, and they wanted him to be old enough because the state laws worked in a very strange way. Um, but he is home now, which is very pleasing. Um, but so it feels like a lot of the emotions that I had before, I'm sorry, my cat will not leave me alone. Um, a lot of the emotions I had before kind of feel like they're on pause in a way.
Okay.
Like I wasn't given the opportunity to fully work through them and grow through them because part of the biggest problem was solved by itself, which I still feel like there's a part of me deep inside that needs to work on what was making me feel those things to begin with.
Okay. That's
Like the core problem, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like I feel like I haven't dealt with the core of the problem, even though the problem has resolved itself. Like it was kind of just given to me too easily, I guess.
okay. And is this referring to Bruce being with you now?
Yeah, I would say so, because I feel less alone. He takes up most of my life. Um, so the loneliness part is gone. The sadness of being lonely is gone because he's back with me. Um, but I don't really feel like I was given the opportunity to work through it and build that skill and um to be able to personally grow from that experience.
So there was you had touched on loneliness and not feeling alone and sadness being related to the loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Bruce is home, you don't feel lonely.
Right.
So then you
I
don't
think
feel
it's
sad.
right. I think it's more because he's home, my time is so occupied that I don't have the chance to feel lonely anymore.
Okay.
It's not that he fully cured the loneliness. I think it's just my mind is so overly occupied with him now that I can't really address it anymore.
Okay. So do you think that that is still something that you would want to explore?
I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent about it. Um, because obviously I'm not feeling it anymore, so my mind automatically says, why would I want to work on that if it's not a problem, sort of
Okay.
thing. But I think that tends to lead toward an avoidance problem in a way. I'm not really sure if I'm speculating about that correctly.
Well, speculation is an interesting thing because I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong way to do it. It's
Hmm.
kind of why we speculate, like maybe, maybe not. Um, those are things there's things that we could talk about that.
Hmm.
And even if it's not a feeling that you're experiencing right now, it might still it might pop up. Um, we could talk about past experiences, and sometimes those kind of trigger other thoughts and feelings.
Right.
Um,
Um,
but if there was other things that you wanted to talk about, we could talk about those.
I remember talking to you about my husband. I think I told you about our open marriage.
Yep.
Um, and the reasons why I had started the open marriage. And I'm not sure how much of it was truly fixed. It kind of feels like a problem that's been placed on the back burner. Because even though Bruce is home and it brings him a little closer to home, like metaphorically and literally,
Mm-hmm.
um, it still feels like we're in the same room, but we're on opposite ends of the world, I
You and your
guess.
husband.
Right. It feels very distant. Um, animosity, I think the word is. Even though we have our son and we'll have good moments with our son, it just still feels like I'm not getting that attention. So in a way, I still do feel loneliness, but not in the same way that I had felt it when Bruce was gone and I had no friends and I was at home all the time. Like, yes, I had started in a choir and we have a trip planned to go out of the country, which I had to pay a lot of money for, but that's beside the point. And my husband's going to come with me, but now that Bruce is back in the picture, I wonder where I'm going to take him. It's
Okay.
but even though we have that trip planned and I had tried to involve myself more actively in the social world, now I feel like that work that I did before now has to die down a little bit to focus on my son, and my connection with my husband is still very thin. It's a dilemma of sorts, I guess.
Well, I think there is something to be said. I mean, as humans, right, we strive towards happiness, and sometimes we want the easy way. Um, so kind of touching back on like, well, I don't really think that's an issue anymore because I don't feel it right now. Um, and that's one way. Sometimes, yeah, we tend to, as people, not worry about things until we have to worry about them. Um, but one thing that seems like it's still on your mind that was also on your mind the last time was kind of the disconnect between you and your husband.
Hmm.
So that is still there.
Yeah, it's been there for years now, honestly. Um, because we married, I want to say it was 2018, 2019. I just got I think my bachelor's degree. And it was very good at the beginning. But then as time went on, it just felt like I was getting less and less effort and attention, which is why the marriage was opened up so I could seek that elsewhere instead of really having to deal with it, you know? Um, and I think what I was doing is I was hoping to scare him with it, and then he wasn't scared and he kind of just took it for
Okay.
what it was. And then I think it worsened the problem. Like, yes, I could seek that with other people, but the core problem of him not doing it with me is still there. And instead, I see him doing it with other women and not me. So it makes me wonder, what did I do to deserve that sort of thing? Like, what has happened to create such an absence? And what makes him unable to do that for me, but able to do it for quite literally anybody else?
So when you see or hear about your husband, um, with the other people that are getting the attention that you're seeking out, how how are you feeling at those points?
Curious, Um, shoot, I'm trying to think of the word injustice, I guess.
Okay.
Like I'm being done a disservice in a way. Um, like it's unfair, even though I've put in the effort, I don't receive it, sort of thing. Um, there's another feeling, but I can't think of the word for it. Um, resentment to a degree, I would say, for sure. Because I'd been asking for it for so long. And clearly the ability was is within him, but just not for me. But then I also wonder, like, where are my shortcomings that cause that?
Okay. Though, if you wanted to try to explore those, we could. Do you think that's something that do you see yourself as having shortcomings?
I know that I have them, but I don't think that I had much of them when the whole problem started to begin with. I don't think it had a causal relationship. Um, could it have a positive correlation? I would say so, but I don't think that that's where the problem is rooted. But maybe that's just me saying that to avoid it. I don't know. Which is kind of why I'm here, I guess.
Because
Yeah.
and right, being here means that you're not avoiding it.
In a way, yeah. But then I also know like some people go to therapy, but they don't actually do the work or work on themselves, or they won't actually bring up the big problems, sort of thing. But that's because I know enough to be dangerous.
You know enough to be who told you that? Where what makes
I
you
don't
say that?
know. I hear a lot of weird things.
Hmm,
Like I know enough to be dangerous about that, like engineering or mechanics, things like that.
interesting.
Or do you mean like where I heard everything else?
No, no, I mean it's
Or just that phrase?
just that phrase and like kind of like how like you relate to it in this scenario.
Right. I know a few funny phrases, like I'm the dumbest smart person to live or the smartest dumb person to live. And there's kind of like a border between those two, but we're getting a little off topic.
We are. And I was just gonna say, so when I had asked you about the feelings that you get that you kind of when you think about like your husband being with other people and kind of seeing the things that you're looking for, there was a word that got brought up our last session, um, power.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that maybe you were like, well, sometimes I think my husband might do these things because then kind of like he got the power as opposed to um when you opened up the relationship, kind of like maybe I was looking for power.
Hmm.
And I just wondered if you wanted to kind of explore that a little more. Like, what does that mean? Like to have power in the relationship. What does that feel like and look like?
Hmm. That's a really good question. I wonder if power is more like something that I was thinking can be held over someone.
Okay.
Um, I think that's where my mind automatically goes to is, well, if I do this, then I have I've exercised the power to be able to show like, yeah, this is possible, but you got to earn it, sort of thing.
Okay, so like a give and take kind of situation.
Right.
Okay. Do you, is that something that you feel like happens other places outside of the marriage?
I think I might have the tendency to do that with my son. Um, I know I had said that I treat him not the best. Like I love him to death. I remember telling my mom that I'd never felt a love like that before. for anybody.
You did mention that
Um,
last time.
but he's not in a position to understand that, and it's almost like I'm taking advantage of him, and that's really something that disgusts me about myself, in all honesty. Um, I think I have anger management problems to a degree, um, and very low patience.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I answered the question. Now I'm thinking back on it.
It's okay. It's not necessarily about a right or wrong answer. It's just kind of
Right.
touching on different things. And sometimes, like again, we hear something and then it takes us somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, you had talked about like that kind of like losing it with Bruce at times, like and not so those are things again, we can touch on that, kind of look at that because if that's something that you're like, I don't want to do that, I don't like that. We
Yeah, I mean, obviously the other problem is quite important, but I think that one is the most important just because in the ladder of importance, I think Bruce definitely falls on top. And I think my partner falls a few rungs below that, which is sad because on those other rungs, I place like money and security and other family members, but I feel like he should probably be on the same rung, if not just one below.
Here's my challenging question for you.
Okay.
Where are you on that ladder?
Oh, shit. Fuck. Um, like what part of me? Like me as a whole or my happiness or what?
You as a whole.
Oh God. I think the bottom, honestly. Um, the bottom or the same rung as my partner, or maybe just one below, but it's pretty deep down there. Um, that's very revealing.
That question looked like it how are you feeling right now? How are you sitting with that?
Shock, speechlessness, like I've made a revelation of sorts. Um, and then my mind spirals into, oh my God, what if I actually am the problem? Or what is it that I have done to prioritize myself my entire life? Or what is it that I have done in not prioritizing myself that I have affected others? And oh wow, I'm an overthinker, so I do
I was
this.
gonna say you have a lot of questions for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
A lot to sit with for sure. I'll probably be up tonight thinking about it.
well, I don't want that. I don't want that's not the intention. That's not
No, I know, but that's how my mind works, and I know that.
but I do think there is something to think about that when I asked you where do you sit on the ladder, it seemed to catch you off guard.
Yeah,
Like
definitely did.
like that you
Like
were like,
you had
"Oh,
said, now here's my challenging question for you, and I like smiled, like, all right, what's coming? And then that like kind of hit me out of left field. That was wow. Oh.
because and then your response like, "Well, what do you mean? Me as a whole as a yeah, you are a whole. There are parts of you,
Mm-hmm.
your happiness, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're working. These are all parts of you, but
Mm-hmm.
you are you."
Right.
And I think when you see yourself below a lot of other things, that's that's something to think about.
Yeah. That's a lot to think about.
And that's not to say that it's a bad thing
Right.
or that there's a right or wrong way to go about it, but I I feel like I see this a lot with mothers, caregivers. They tend to put everyone else above themselves.
Yeah, that is a pattern.
And have you ever heard the analogy of people on an airplane going down and the oxygen masks come down from the ceiling?
I know of like what situation you're talking about, but I don't think I know the analogy.
So if you're on a plane and you're with your son and the oxygen masks come down, who do you put the mask on first?
Him. Yeah. Wow.
It's
That's
you.
kind of crazy.
It's you. You put it on you first. You can't help him if you can't breathe.
Oh shit. Wow.
And I know we're kind of getting into it right now, but I you're you said you're ready to work, and I believe that.
Wow.
So those are one of those things that I put that on like parents, caregivers, like you do have to look at you first, because if you're so empty, what are you giving to others?
Right. Yeah. It makes sense too, because if I were to die, how the hell is he gonna know where to go or how to get off or who to go to? Because he's only 5. Like he doesn't know those things.
Even if he was older, like you're, I mean, your kids are going to look to you.
Yeah.
And as they get older, they start to notice, like, hmm, even at 5 versus you
Wow.
already know something.
Wow. That's all I could say is wow. It's
I
going through
do
my
like
brain.
that response. I do like that response right now, that wow response, because um it kind of shows me like, oh, I'm thinking. And so when I said before that you are here and you are doing the work, and you were like, well, some people don't, and some people do this, and that's some people, but you're Lenora, and I think you decided to come here to work.
I appreciate that.
So,
Wow.
so my thought is, I I'm not gonna suggest you do anything until the next time we see each other, but I look forward to our next session.
I look forward to it too. I think
Is
that there's a lot of thinking to be done on that revelation.
Do you have questions before you leave?
I don't think so. I think my mind is still in a stage of like, holy shit, what just happened kind of thing. Um,
So when you say that, like your mind is in that stage, is it like is it a good, oh my goodness, I have a lot to think about, or
I think it's good for sure.
okay.
Um, like holy crap, maybe there is something that can be done kind of thing. But also like, holy crap, this has been going on for a very long time, sort of thing.
And with most, again, if it doesn't cause an issue, humans tend not to worry about it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to worry about the rock in my shoe until I put on the shoe and start to walk in it, and it bothers me.
that's a good metaphor. Yeah. I had a great session though.
I had a great session as well.
I
And I'm
appreciate
happy that Bruce is
appreciate.
home for with you.
I am too, for sure.
And I think if I was going to part you with any advice, and take it as you will, but be kind to you.
Thank you.
You're working hard. And I
Thank you.
look forward to our next session.
Me too.
All right. Take care. If there's anything you need, call.
Okay,
All right.
I will.
Bye.
Bye.